evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of the PDS podcast with Jordan Crothers and Kurtis Fafford. In today's episode, we're going to spend a little bit of time discussing our top 3 storm chases before bringing in our very special guest, Misheyla Iwasiuk, and spending some time learning about her life as a Canadian storm chaser and photographer. But before we get started, we'd like to take a moment to explain to you all what the PDS podcast is all about. So first of all, who in the world are these two people you're listening to?
Well, to start off, I'm Jordan Crothers. You may know me better, though, as the guy who runs Manitoba Storm Chasers, a storm chasing team based out of Manitoba, Canada. I've been storm chasing across Canada and the USA for about 14 years now. I started my Facebook page, Manitoba Storm Chasers, in 2015, and I began offering storm chasing ride-alongs in 2016. I now run one of Canada's only storm chasing tour companies, which is called Vorticity Storm Tours, which offers storm chasing excursions across Canada and the United States every year. So if you know who I am already, hello again. But if you don't, now you do. It's nice to meet you.
And I'm Fafford, and I am super nervous right now, so I'm sorry. I'm a husband, a father, a brand new podcaster, and a very late blooming storm chaser. I grew up in Saskatchewan. I've always loved the weather. Often could be found outside watching storms as they passed. It wasn't actually until late in 2018 when I took a photography course that I actually started to chase a few storms. And then it was 2020, the year of COVID, when I had enough time to actually put a real effort into chasing. So I'm pretty much a noob to the storm chase world. But what I have found was an amazing community of top-notch people that really I'm hoping we can introduce you to over the next few episodes that we do here.
So what's this podcast all about? Our goal here is to create a weather-related podcast that can be accessed on all of the most popular podcast networks. We're already on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and we're just waiting for Google Podcasts approval. And obviously Facebook and YouTube as well. And that focuses primarily on bringing storm chasers, meteorologists, and your average weather enthusiast together in a fun, entertaining environment for all to enjoy. If you're watching us live right now, that means that you're one of our valued supporters on Facebook. Our live feed is only available to Facebook supporters. So thank you for being a supporter. And remember, this episode's being recorded live and uncut. So you may see some things that don't make it into the edited show. You might see us have to backtrack a little bit for editing later. But yeah, you're getting the raw, live, uncut version here. So thank you again for being a supporter. Now let's get started.
And if you've got small children watching, please have the earmuffs handy.
Yes.
But now that we've introduced ourselves and you know a little bit about us, let's take a few minutes and talk about some of our favorite storm chases.
So we're going to discuss mine and Kurtis's top 3 chases individually. We're going to start off with We're going to start off with mine, and I would have to say that my number 3 top chase would be Tahoka, Texas on May 5th, 2019. Some of the reasons it was it made it into my top 3 is it was just a mix of perfect forecasting and being in the right place at the right time on a storm that we weren't quite sure if it was going to go tornadic or anything like that. I had some tour guests with me down there for the annual Tornado Alley tour I do. And the tour had just started a couple days before. Keep in mind, this was May 5th, so the very start of the tour. And we found ourselves in a situation where we had a couple storms to choose from that day. And we were sitting, it's kind of funny, actually. We were sitting just north of Lubbock, Texas, I believe it was. And there was one storm kind of to our west and one a little bit south of that one. And the one a little bit south of it was actually over a town or a community called Ropesville, which if you know anything about storms or tornadoes, we like to call a certain type of tornado a rope tornado. So that was kind of our giveaway that was the storm we should go for. So we made our way down to that one, and at the beginning, it was looking fairly strong, and we were pretty excited. But then it started to go outflow dominant, which isn't very good for what we're out there looking for. It looked like the storm was ready to die. And then that storm that was to the north of it actually pushed out an outflow boundary, which got sucked into this storm we were on and just instantly started rotating. And within a couple minutes, there was a big, beautiful, red, brown, dusty tornado on the ground. And we were in the perfect spot for it. It just kind of happened to be a chance that we were right where we needed to be. That tornado ended up being a EF2, and it crossed the road right in front of us, probably about 180 yards away at the most. And yeah, it was on the ground for quite a while. It was one of the longer tornadoes we've seen.
That is a dusty looking picture that we have up on the screen right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it started sucking dust from miles away, and it was just for probably a week afterwards, I had dust stuck in my teeth. And I'm pretty sure when I sold the truck last year that I was using for this chase, it probably still had some of that Tahoka dust in it.
That is incredible.
It was a pretty crazy one for sure. And that was actually my first kind of real close intercept too. Like I said, I was only about 180 yards away, and it was just, yeah, it was, that's why it made it in my top three for sure. I'd have to say my number 2 top chase was Waldo to Tipton, Kansas on May 28th, 2019. So same tour, same year. This was actually just a day before we were ready to come home. And the night before this chase, the vehicle I was driving, the fuel pump gave out on it. And I was out sitting on a gravel road in nowhere, Kansas till about 4 or 5 in the morning waiting for a tow truck.
Oh, man.
And yeah, and then I finally got the tow truck into Hayes, Kansas. Arrived there at my hotel at about 6 in the morning. And then first I set an alarm for 7 and went and got the car I was driving towed to a shop and picked up a rental. I just so happened to have a rental place right across from the shop, so that worked out perfectly.
Did you tell them what you were taking the car to go do?
Absolutely not, but I did get the extra insurance on it. So picked up a rental car and went back to the hotel. I had Barb McCulloch with me, late Barb McCulloch. She passed away recently, unfortunately. This was actually her last chase down in the States, but picked her up from the hotel and we headed east a little bit, and then a storm ended up going up pretty much right over Hayes, Kansas, where we had started off. So we made our way back there, and by the time we got onto that storm, which was probably about 45 minutes to maybe an hour after it went up, it already had a tornado on the ground, which was the Waldo Ef2 Tornado, which was the last picture I think Kurtis showed a couple seconds ago. That there is the rope out of it. But yeah, so that was an EF2 tornado. But what was really crazy about that day is we saw about 8 tornadoes touch down in a matter of under an hour. At one point, we had triplets on the ground. You can see in that picture there, we've actually got 2. We've got the rope out of the EF2, and then there was a smaller tornado on the ground to its north. And just a few seconds after this picture, another one was on the ground. So we had that first one roping out, 2 new ones on the ground. And then the first one roped out and died. We had the 2, and then those ones died off. Then we had another 2, and it was just like twins and triplets. And it was absolute madness for about 45 minutes to an hour before everything died off eventually. But yeah, it was just like bang, bang, bang. Every time you turn your head, there was a new tornado on the ground, and it was just absolutely insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then my number one chase is unfortunately kind of controversial. Before I talk about it, I do want to send my condolences to Shayna and Carter, who unfortunately lost their lives in this tornado. I'm sure many of you people watching know exactly what tornado I'm talking about, which is the Scarth, Manitoba tornado of August 7th, 2020. And this one was, again, just a matter of awesome forecasting and being in the right place at the right time. I started my chase that day just along the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border, and this storm started going up right over top of Mooseman, I believe it was, and tracking eastwards. And I was basically on it from almost the very start, as soon as it entered Manitoba, basically. And I filled up my tank in Verdon, just south, that gas station that's just south of Verdon. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, Kurtis.
Yeah.
And so I filled my fuel there. And as I was doing that, this storm, or sorry, not this storm. There was a storm to the north, and this storm were kind of merging right there in front of me. And the north storm had a little bit of a wall cloud and a mesocyclone starting on it. And then, so I sat there watching it for a couple seconds, and then I decided to come a little bit south. I was actually chasing with Sean Schofer that day, and we decided to come a little bit south and see what this storm was doing. And we drove, I think it was about 8 miles down the road, and a big giant RFD cut clear slot came in and just started forming this massive tornado. It ended up being rated an EF3, and it was just it's really hard to talk about it nicely because of the unfortunate fatalities that occurred, but it was just like a perfect looking tornado, like every storm chaser's dream shot. Nice clear blue skies behind it, and just perfect contrast and everything. And yeah, it was that was by far the best looking tornado I've ever seen. And that would be why it made it as my number one. Yeah, I think that's about all I've got to say about my top three, but yeah.
Well, and instead of going, excuse me, going in order of 3, 2, 1, I think I'll just piggyback off what you're doing, because my top one is also Scarth for very similar reasons. But you talked about the setup. That was my first real tornado, and I have a really hard time talking about it. It really got in my head, and I almost quit chasing storms, period, just because of that. It bothered me so much. But I typed up a little thing here because I know otherwise I'll ramble and end up somewhere. So I'm just gonna read it off, and that's what I'm gonna leave it at. But August 7th, 2020 is a day that I'll never forget. It was the absolute best day and the absolute worst day I've ever experienced chasing storms. It was my first successful tornado, and I'll always be proud for being there. The worst side of it, Shayna Barneski and Carter Tilbury of Melita lost their lives when the tornado picked up the vehicle they were in and threw it. The Melita area lost 2 18-year-olds who were in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is something that I struggled with and still do to this day. Even now, over a year later, I still have a knot in my gut thinking about the devastation that was caused. I know this is a byproduct of chasing storms, but even though I knew it, I wasn't prepared for the incredible feeling of guilt and depression that was going to follow it. It took me a few days before the full weight of what had just occurred hit me, and I was fortunate enough to have a support group of chasers that I could talk to. Each and every one has at some point gone through something very similar, and there's no escaping the emotions that follow that. As time passes, I am realizing that this event would have happened whether I was there or not, and that the benefit of having chasers out is that these cases of severe weather get reported while the event is happening, or in some cases even before. Thanks to the report of the chasers on scene, the emergency vehicles had an incredible response time. our guests tonight, Misheyla and Jordan, were being two of the chasers that were on the scene before anyone else. With this being my first tornado, I was in shock at what had happened and what I had seen, and didn't have time to react. So by the time I got to the farm and had comprehended what had happened, emergency services was already on site. So I kept my distance. But what Jordan said, I was totally in shock by seeing that. And yeah, my heart goes out to the families and the victims, and it was a very bittersweet day. So now I can go to number 3, or should I go to number 2?
Might as well go number 2, I suppose.
So that was this year, which was a pretty poor year for chasing as it was, but I found out I'm kind of a structure junkie and just loved the storm since there was no tornadoes to chase. So we ended up, I went up to Regina and spent the day chasing with some friends, met a couple new ones, and in typical fashion, all we did was end up driving a great big circle around Regina, chasing clouds over and over and over, and getting stuck on the wrong side of the lake, just north of Regina, every time we wanted to go somewhere. I actually met, like with all of my chases, it seems, I met up with Jordan, and we met at the top of the valley just as a shelf cloud went across us at warp speed. I didn't even get my camera out. Jordan got a few cell phone pictures, but I missed all of it. And then on the way home, that was the first lightning that I'd really seen of the year, but it was raining so hard. I couldn't see the highway. I was hydroplaning all over the place. So I stayed inside. But some of the structure we saw that day, above that elevator there, that one was just up by Kenora. It was just awesome. And for a dry year...
We should probably clarify you're talking about Kenora, Saskatchewan, not Ontario.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Kenora, or Cupar, sorry, not Kenora, Cupar.
Ooh, I like that shot.
I tripped and fell, and that's where my camera landed. And then number 3 was also this year, and that was actually the very last day of meteorological summer. That was the day I had to work, and Jordan was pestering me all day, chirping me because I was working and he was sitting up in Moose Jaw waiting for the storm to start. So I finally got up there around 4:30 and picked up a couple more chasers that I'd met in Regina. And what did I miss, Jordan?
Not much.
You sat under the sun all day while I worked. And I got there just in time to go out. And we ended up having our first tornado warning at about 5:40. And that was this picture here. Jordan got a stellar time lapse of this. My God, it's fantastic. But it's lower and came up and started rotating, and it was... I still think that we saw, if you going back to my GoPro footage, you can kind of see a grainy spin up on the ground, but we can't confirm that. So I'm gonna count it for now.
Might as well. It was the only good thing this season.
But this was actually the storm that ended up going through Regina and causing a pile of hail damage. Like this was that really big hailer that went through. Yeah,
there was quite a bit of damage with that one, eh?
There was some of those images on social media showing the ice in the front yard.
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest hailstorm of the year in Canada, or at least in the prairies, I think.
The closest one we got to.
Yeah, that's for sure. Which isn't saying much for this year.
It was kind of a slow year. But that's the 3 that, well, I've got a pretty terrible memory, but that's the 3 that stick out to me that I had really nice pictures of.
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we will be right back.
We
Based out of Boise, Manitoba, photographer and storm chaser Misheyla Iwasiuk has been chasing down severe weather across the Canadian prairies for the better part of 10 years. When she is not traveling the prairies or on the hunt for storms, she's setting up her camera in front of an old barn, car, or tree to photograph some of our amazing crystal clear Canadian nights. Welcome to the show, Misheyla. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
So you said your life's in a wreck right now. What's going on? I heard you got a new purchase.
Yeah, we just got a house, and thankfully it's just across town, so we're not, moving cities or provinces or anything. It's literally a 1-minute drive, so I can't complain too much. There's like 2 stop signs in between our current house and the new house, so.
Oh, that's exciting.
But it's just, with kids, it's a big process and new and all of those things. So yeah. And then I'm back to work after maternity leave. So like switching my brain over to adult brain instead of diaper brain. So that's a change. And yeah, it's starting to get cold, which is just kind of crappy in general. So
it means the next storm season's coming.
Right, let's just get this over with and like fast forward into storm season. That'd be great.
Get through the winter, get lots of snow so we have some moisture, and
you need
start
moisture.
Over.
Yeah, we do. We need to redo that whole thing so we can get some moisture for next year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, since I'm the noob, and literally have only been doing this for a couple of years, I'm going to take full advantage of us having a podcast. I'm going to try to get everyone's secret weapons on how they forecast and what they look at.
Oh boy, okay.
So, what are the things you like to look at or check when you're planning a chase? Like, how do you forecast? What specific radar models do you look at, or is there a certain parameter that you're after?
So I'm still stuck on COD. I use NextLab still. I know a lot of people have kind of like shifted over to Pivotal, and I'm still old school, still use that site. So I really am not that techie. I don't look too much into it. Sometimes you get a little too technical, and that also cannot work out. So I like to use HRRR when it's cooperating and being accurate, because we all know this year in Manitoba, I think
terrible.
In general, HRRR has been like,
it seems to have struggled everywhere
horrible.
This year.
Yeah. So I don't know what was up with that, if it just wasn't capturing something properly and wasn't building that into the model properly. I think maybe moisture. So then I use the NAM 3KM also, and then just the typical soundings from that. I also like to look at the weather where I'm kind of targeting to see what the cloud, like a visible satellite, what the dew points are, what the wind looks like in that area. So very basic. I'm not a friggin' meteorologist. I'm not a scientist. I can pick a location. I can pick a target okay, and I can adjust from there. For those of us in Manitoba who have chased for a while, there's like storm corridors that kind of set up over the years. 1 year it was kind of like the corner of Saskatchewan and Manitoba into North Dakota. There was a bit of a corridor set up there where, storms were just funneling through that area. You had Tilston that year was the year that everything was kind of firing and along there. You've got the Verdon area. That area always seems to go. Pipestone, Verdon, Elkhorn, Ruston, that area seems to get hit. And then you've got kind of the northern components. You've got, what's up there? Russell, I guess, seems to get a lot of storms up in that area. I think probably because of the moisture up there from the lakes and everything. So, I mean, it's really, there's like a triangle that you kind of pick within, and that's probably where it's going to happen. This year, because we didn't have a lot of moisture, a lot of the storms were way west in Saskatchewan, I found, and we got literally nothing. We got shafted.
Yeah.
To be fair, Saskatchewan didn't get anything till the last 2 weeks
That's
of the summer
true.
either.
Yeah, that's true. So we all kind of got skunked this year. Even Alberta, I mean, they had a couple of days and, you know,
Yeah.
the foothills. And generally what I see happening is, you know, Alberta gets it, then Saskatchewan, and then us. And then that just didn't happen. So real technical stuff over here.
Yeah. I got so desperate this summer that I actually drove all the way out to Alberta just to see a shelf cloud.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Like if
Yep.
you know, the deprivation hits hard, especially with our cold winters, and we just it just sucked this year, unfortunately.
It was very, very slow.
It was painfully slow.
Yeah, it was. Here, Jordan.
All right. So we talked about how you forecast, sort of, and what you do to prepare for a storm. Forecast. Yeah. So what would you be looking for on the day of a chase? Or as some people would say it, how do you nowcast?
Probably just again, you know, looking at the satellite and seeing what the cloud cover looks like. You know, so if you don't get any daytime heating, chances are you're probably going to want to shift to a different target area. You know, checking the winds and the temperature, very basic stuff that, you know, it seems to work okay for me. I used to be, when I'm not chasing, I'm watching the radar constantly. So I can kind of,
it's kind of an addiction, isn't it? Bit of a radar junkie.
It is. Well, and of course, Aaron's likely chasing whatever I'm not, so I kind of watch, obviously, what he's doing as well. So I'm a bit of an armchair chaser / co-chaser in a chair.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's great. I can look seriously through him, through, you know, those Dixie chases that I don't really want to be doing, and yeah, so really nothing different than the previous question. I got no major tricks up my sleeve or anything. I have no cool instruments or anything like that. I just use the basics, and that's right, Joe. You always check the radar. I see you posting about the weather there. A heads up, so that's always good too.
Speaking of radar, did you see Radar Scope's new update today?
I didn't. I saw that. I think it must have been you commenting on a group about it, but I didn't get a chance to actually look and see what the update was.
Yeah, it's we've got Canadian watches and warnings now. We got satellite overlay.
What?
It looks pretty sweet. I'm excited for next season now. If only they could have gotten it out a few months ago.
Right.
Not like it would have mattered this season, but
no. Is there Canadian warning boxes yet?
Yeah, I think they're just going to be like the regions, like Environment Canada issues, but
just the RMs.
At least they'll be on the map, so that's good.
Well, the RMs are quite large, so
yeah,
that seems to be an issue with Environment Canada. Is like you're warning a gigantic, you know, space, and people are like, what? There's you know, nothing.
It's sunny here. Why am I getting a warning?
Right. Yeah, and it's unfortunate because like people tend to not take them as seriously because of that. Like you know, they get 100 tornado warnings that don't affect them whatsoever because it's 4 or 5 hours away, and it's very unfortunate that our Canadian systems haven't been updated to be a little bit more accurate. So
people get a little annoyed and a little jaded when their TV shows are interrupted by
yep.
I wish it wasn't that way.
I want to watch The Bachelor.
That's what PVR's for.
Really? Yeah, exactly. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's but yeah, so we've got we'll at least have watches and warnings on Radar Scope, which will mean we'll have to have less screen switching throughout the chase. That's good.
And we'll know if we're going to be driving down a turkey trail now.
Yeah, that satellite view, you
Well,
see.
we can at least assume it's going to be a turkey
We'll
trail.
see. Yeah, we'll see, because those roads, I tell you, 1 minute they're great, and then you're stuck in the mud. So I don't know.
Yeah, especially southern Saskatchewan gets
Careful
bad
now. Come on. Come on.
for that.
Bunch of hooligans over there.
Yeah.
So, Misheyla, when you're researching weather, trying to learn stuff online, is there anywhere you go, like specific YouTube channels or books or online courses, or how did you get your weather knowledge?
What weather knowledge? No,
I heard you say dew points.
I did dew points. So I like when the Titans, Tornado Titans, were doing the Titans U. They were doing the YouTube series. Amazing videos. I think Rachel Stanner was doing them. I'm not entirely sure who was a part of that. I know she's working on some more training material right now. So I highly recommend Titans U. Very awesome stuff. I was sad. I was trying to point someone in that direction, and I couldn't find it. So I think it's being redone and updated. So, and then obviously Aaron is, very knowledgeable. That's his job. So him as well. And then Reed's live briefings are very informative. So I do enjoy those when I'm able to catch them. I'm trying to think of what. Cameron Nixon on Twitter. That guy's like a storm genius.
Mm-hmm.
So when I have the brain capacity to actually be able to read it and process what the heck he's saying, I will do that. And I follow a lot of really awesome, smart people on Twitter, weather Twitter. So you can pick up all kinds of things. I probably learned something new about storm chasing or just storm evolution or anything, probably daily when I feel like being on Twitter.
When you have the energy to go and wade through the crap on Twitter.
The patience, yes. Exactly. It can be a volatile place that sometimes you just have to avoid.
It gets pretty nasty, yeah.
It does.
You stay out of the comments.
Yeah.
Misheyla, do you have a favorite type of storm setup to chase? Do you prefer tornado? Do you prefer structure?
I'll take what I can get. Not too fussy. Obviously, we all want to see the golden tornado. We don't want to see it impacting anything. So, obviously, our ideal scenario is wide open field, tornado, big old cone, white, dusty. Obviously, that's all of our dream. But I will take structure. I will take shelf clouds. I'll take lightning. I'll take whatever. I'm not fussy, especially after this year. I'll take whatever. But I do enjoy structure. I do like to shoot wide, and I like to capture the entirety of the scene. I also really look for some cool foreground, whether that be.
And all of your photos, they always have just beautiful foreground.
It's
stunning.
I use the time while I'm driving to a storm that I know I'm probably going to be driving back through to stay ahead of the storm to find locations that I can stop at and shoot along the way. I also have a huge map of abandoned anything you could possibly imagine on Google Maps. So I have a lot of inventory to choose from.
It shows. They're fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember I've asked you a few times if you know of a certain foreground in a certain area, and you send me your map with all your little dots all over it.
I think people would pay me some serious money for that map. It is like abandoned gold, that thing.
Yeah, you got some crazy places on there.
I do.
The Chris Attrell thing and start selling your map.
That would
Shayla's map to abandoned prairies.
Abandoned wonders.
So what do you prefer then, night sky or storm chasing for photography?
That's very difficult.
That's why we asked it.
Right? I should have thought of this before you guys asked me. Can I say both? Can I? I like both.
You can, but we're gonna edit that out.
Okay. You're just gonna make it sound like I chose one and knew what I was gonna say.
Absolutely.
I like the night sky. I like the quiet. I like how you're not in a rush and you can kind of take your time and capture it, as you want. You can, you have more time to just set up your camera, adjust things, enjoy what you're seeing. Normally storm chasing is accompanied by like frantic tweeting to, the public or weather services. And then you're setting up a camera, you're trying to take a video, you're trying to shoot with your DSLR, you're trying to get your tripod to not fall over and smash your lens. You're checking radar, you're doing all of these things. You're making sure that the door is shut so the dog doesn't get out or the dog's puking in the back seat, because it's like, that is a true story, by the way. That did happen.
Oh, that's terrible.
That happened at Scarth. Kaya barfed all over the back seat for some reason. So that was good. So it's just a lot calmer in the night, and you're alone and it's peaceful. Sometimes it's a little weird, especially if you're at an abandoned house or, in the middle of nowhere and in the middle of the night. You kind of hear some weird stuff going on.
Or especially when you've got a little boy wrapped in your jacket taking Northern Lights pictures.
Yes. His face was covered in chocolate still, but I'm pretty sure I have a picture of him zipped up in my jacket with like chocolate all over his face. Because when you're a mom, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the shots, right? So you just bundle them up and
here's some chocolate. Don't make sounds. Just sit still. Shush.
He was eating birthday cake.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I was on the way home from a birthday party, my mom. So we stopped and I grabbed my camera. And you gotta do what you gotta do.
That's right.
My daughter's been out in the middle of nowhere. She's great. You'll just give her a sleeping bag and she'll go to sleep in the back seat of the car. Give her a little lantern. Ooh, it's like a fun little, just stay in the car. I'll do it for her. Mom, if you need anything. I don't need to go too far, but yeah, she's well versed in our nightly escapades. So yeah.
Yeah. I know Kurtis and I get our kids out whenever we can too. They seem to
important.
They definitely enjoy it, and it's good bonding time as well.
I think our kids collectively have probably seen a lot more things than a lot of people's children will ever see, weather related. So that's pretty cool. They might not appreciate that now, but
yeah,
I know Levi and I have caught 3 blizzards this summer. He'll ask me to go. It's a Dairy Queen treat.
Oh.
He'll ask me to go on a storm chase, and there'll be nothing in the forecast. But yeah, okay, we'll go.
We'll go get a blizzard.
So we ended up in Ross Percy the one time, and you just go for a tour, go for an adventure, and end up getting a blizzard.
I like that. I want to use that. Except for we don't have a Dairy Queen, so I'd have to drive an hour to get to one.
Yeah, we usually end up quite a ways from home.
Yeah.
Just think 10 or 15 years from now, our kids are probably going to be sitting here doing this exact same thing as we are right now.
It'll be perfect. They can
be way cooler than we are, though.
Yeah,
they
most
can drive
likely.
the vehicle while we take pictures.
Right? They can drive our old asses around and shoot out the window, and it'll be great. Yeah,
that'll be fantastic. Yeah, just watch radar and turn here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dad, that's not a road. Just shush, go. You're fine.
Yeah.
We got to skip all over the place. Good luck.
Yeah, we did.
Question to pick out of there.
Sorry.
So, do you feel that your interest in chasing has helped you learn more about storms or severe weather than you otherwise might have if you didn't have an interest in chasing?
I'm gonna have to go with yes on that one. Obviously, if you want to chase, you're gonna have to learn the basics, of course. I mean, you don't have to, but you want to go out there and look like an idiot, that's up to you. But whatever, you scored a huge tornado, so you're good, you're fine. You learned the basics. A lot of it, though, is learning as you go and looking at the sky. And, storms are so different that there's so many different scenarios that can happen. And you learn to oh, hey, I think this storm is going outflow, or hey, I think there's, some RFG wrapping around. I see some rain curtains wrapping around. You learn to look and see all of these things that you're not going to see sitting and researching things. So just really getting out there and looking has helped me. Seeing lots of different types of storms. We get all kinds of storms. 1 year, all of our storms were outflow garbage. And then, we had some pretty crazy storms the next year. So, yeah, I really appreciate just learning as I'm doing. I also don't retain a lot of information, so
that makes me feel much better.
Right? Yeah.
It's like in one ear and out the other. I'll read it and I'll interested in it.
It's gone.
And it's gone.
Yeah, unless you can kind of like, as you're seeing it, reflect back on that piece of information, then it kind of sticks in your brain. But otherwise, I'm like, I don't know. It
needs to be bonded to some kind of an experience, something that you remember.
Yes. So. Exactly.
Well, I feel better.
It's like that August 31st of this year's storm, that time lapse that I shot. I can't remember who it was talking about something, and both Misheyla and I had to Google what the heck he was talking about. What was it called?
I don't know, but he sent us the link for
with all the information, and it was just like, wow, I have never even heard of whatever this is, but apparently I caught it in my time lapse.
I did not read that paper, so
yeah, me either. It looked great, but way too much information for me to read in one sitting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was like, awesome. I understand kind of your explanation. I'm going to stop it there.
Yeah.
I understand the words on the page. I do not understand what they mean.
Exactly. All right, cool. It was interesting, though. Once I Googled it, I was like, oh, cool, because it was an interesting time lapse. And I was further back. Like, Jordan, I think you were right up under it at that point. And I saw it from further back. So it was really cool for me to see that motion that was happening. I mean, I could see scud and stuff lifting up into the storm, but from further away, obviously, because I'm shooting back here and I'm not right up the storm's ass like you were.
That was neat. The way it was sucking the little twisties up into it. And
I thought it was going to put down a couple times. It tried, but
for sure,
just couldn't get it done, and then just a little bit too much of interference, and then but beautiful storm regardless.
Oh yeah,
it was our only chase. So
yeah, by far the best best storm of the year, but
only
which isn't saying much for this year, but is saying much at the same time, because it was a gorgeous storm for sure.
It was very nice, yeah, and nice beautiful fields, and the lighting was great, and I mean, far drive farther for you than me. I think I drove 10 hours that day, and you drove a lot further than I did. So
yeah, I think I left home at 7 in the morning and was not back home again until probably 3-ish.
Yeah, I was late
in the morning.
So. Still haven't edited my photos from that, so that is my life right now. So yeah,
I scrambled and got 6 of them edited this week just for this.
I saw it.
I was like, crap, I got to do something.
Yeah, no, it looks great. That was the one with was it wheat or barley or something in the foreground, right? Yeah, and
then there was a officer actually right at Rollo, right at
Dog River. Yes, that was neat. Amazing. That shot.
Stopped and talked to him, and that was really cool. He was really cool about it.
Yeah, I saw him sitting there, and there was a lot of photographic opportunities on that chase. There was a lot of cool stuff. Like Jordan, you got that amazing shot of the grain elevator, and Kurtis the RCMP SUV. Yeah, it was beautiful. I haven't even looked at mine, so I don't know what I have. I got some status at an abandoned truck. I don't know. We'll see.
I was just excited that Brent Butts retweeted me.
Right? Oh, you're a celebrity now.
That was pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
So I think we only have one question left, and that's what do you do to pass the time between storm seasons?
Oh gosh. Well, I work full time. I have 2 kids. I hike a lot. Aaron talks a lot, so that takes up a lot of my time.
But besides that, in your spare time.
We're going to have to ask him about that when he's on the show.
My dad listened to our other podcast and he was like, did Aaron have a lot of coffee to drink before the podcast? I was like, that's just how he is. He's very passionate, very energetic. So, no, we like to travel. We like to be outside. We like to hike. Obviously, you know, I've been slowing down my photography this year just because of Jet and have Aaron being gone so much and not being able to get out as much as I want. So hopefully I can get out a little bit more and get back to shooting and, you know, make sure my lenses don't grow like a gross film over them from not being used. So
Oh, you can't have that now.
no. I shot a wedding. So that's like how it was to use my camera. No, they were great people, but I had to, you know, click something. So I did that.
I love how anyone that follows weather, a photographer says that they did a wedding and everyone just kind of gets that.
Yeah.
Ooh. Sorry.
When you shoot storms and you shoot like northern lights and things like this, you're not a wedding photographer, generally speaking. You have
Unless you're Mike.
Yeah.
Olbinski's the only one that does both.
right? And I think Jessica Moore is a wedding photographer. Well, she was, and then
I think she's given up on that now.
I think she gave up on that. So I don't know anyone else that does both, because also weddings are a huge undertaking, a huge amount of work. So
Oh, for sure.
you can't be out chasing when you've got thousands of photos to edit of a wedding. So what takes precedence, I guess, right?
Storms. Always storms.
Storms are stressful. Brides are more stressful.
I agree.
And on that note, I think we'll just move right on from that before we lose our 2 viewers.
Sorry.
I should add, brides and husbands are more stressful.
It's true.
Said that wrong. Brides and grooms. There we go.
There we go.
That's the word I was looking for.
Smooth, buddy.
So, that gong sound, that means it's time for our game show.
Great.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
There we go. So, are you ready, Misheyla?
Yep. Sure.
Okay. Kurtis, you want to start with the first fact?
Sure.
Oh, well, maybe we should explain first how this works, eh?
Do I get a lifeline?
You get a couple.
Can I cheat?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Sure.
Thank you.
You win the same whether you get it right or wrong.
Like you guys. That's great.
He's not getting anything either way, so you do you.
Okay, great.
So how this works, we'll give you 4 facts about a tornado. The game show is called Guess the Tornado.
Yeah.
And with those 4 facts, you've basically got to guess what tornado it is we're talking about.
Okay.
You do have 2 lifelines that you can choose to use. Basically what those are, they give you kind of extra facts, a little bit more informative facts that kind of hint a little bit better towards which tornado it might be.
Okay.
Basically, after each fact, we will scroll the fact across the screen, give you a chance to read it. We'll give you a couple seconds to think about it, and then when you're ready for the next fact, you can just say so or whatever, and we'll let you know the next one. And yeah, after the 4th fact, if you can't figure it out, then ask for a lifeline, and yeah, that's about it.
Right. Bring it on.
Are you ready?
Gently. Yes.
Are you ready? Okay. Fact 1. This tornado occurred in Canada.
Scarth. I don't like that noise. That is not nice.
I meant to hit this one. There we go.
That's worse.
Did you want to do this?
Okay. Pipestone.
So we have 4 facts for you, so we can go to the next one.
Okay. All right, go to the next fact.
This tornado was a wedge-type tornado.
Tailspin.
Hey, we got a winner. Whoops.
Jordan, were you there for that?
I was not there. I was at home watching it all on the Weather Network, I think.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, for our 10 to 15 minute game, that sure was over in a minute.
Yeah. I was expecting it to last a little longer than that.
Well, a little harder for the next guest.
I guess there isn't that many wedge type tornadoes in Canada, eh?
I think
So-
two. Maybe.
So we'll just go through and educate the people then.
Okay.
The Telstra Tornado was actually on the ground for 2.5 to 3 hours. And what else is on here? Storm Chaser's most memorable tornado, which it was because you got it.
It was a crazy day. It was a crazy day.
Actually, maybe Misheyla, you were on that one, right?
I was.
Did you want to take a minute to kind of describe your day that day? Fill out some of the time we lost?
Yeah, sure, guys. I wasn't gonna go. I went. The surface winds were ripping so hard that day that it was one of those days where it like picked up gravel and like shot it at your legs and like skinned your legs. I remember stopping at the gas station. I think it was Melita maybe, and I couldn't even get the door open to the gas station because of those surface winds. So automatically, you know, it's going to be a crazy day. It was also incredibly hot. So I think I was down in like Cardiff, Caryvale area, and the storm started firing on the North Dakota side, I believe. Again, my memory, not the greatest. So I'm pretty sure it formed in North Dakota, moved up into Saskatchewan, and then kind of made its way towards the Manitoba border. Went tornado warned very quickly, wall cloud very quickly. Not a lot of great service down in that area, so I don't really remember what radar looked like at that time. So kind of was just chasing by sight at that time. Chased the storm towards Melita, I believe, and kind of lost it there. They had construction on the main road, and then I missed a road to go north up into the storm. I saw Greg Johnson go screaming by me at that point. So, but yeah, it was just like I took a video, and you can it's just kind of looked like a huge rain wrapped mess, which I think is kind of what a lot of people saw, unless you were right up in there. I think Greg was right up in there, and I don't remember if Reed was chasing that day. I don't know.
I think he was with Sean and Braden, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember though.
Yeah, I think so too. But anyways, yeah, big problems. But didn't really do any damage. I remember driving through after the tornado had gone through, and you know, I remember these two farmers just kind of standing on the side of the road, just like, what the hell just happened? You know, and there was some like sheet metal siding thrown about, but otherwise, you know, major flooding in Reston area, but otherwise there wasn't really that much prolific damage, which was great. And I know that you guys said it was on the ground for 2.5 to 3 hours. Based on radar, I think it looked like it was down on the ground for a long time. I don't know if they ever actually said it was for sure, or it was just cycling repeatedly. But yeah, so obviously I don't really like to chase it at night. My eyes are not the greatest, so it's kind of a safety thing. So yeah, stop chasing it. But yeah, crazy day.
Yeah, that was the one that got away for me.
Yeah. You must have been doing something very important instead.
I was watching it on media.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what I was doing that day. I don't know why I wasn't chasing, but yeah, I missed it, unfortunately.
That's okay. There'll be more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in that area.
That's right.
That area is always going off.
It's like our tornado alley right there.
Yeah.
And it's perfect because it's right between the three of us.
It is. Yeah, it is. That's why I still live here. It's an easy jaunt to like all of the hot spots in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. So
Yeah, you live in a perfect area for chasing that region for sure.
yeah. Now we can drop down into Nodak again. So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yay. But we're just gonna have to find a test somehow to get back. I think we have to.
Well, I saw it. It depends. It depends how long we're there. Like if we're only going down for the day or a couple hours, we can get a test here. So, and I actually saw the other day they announced that Manitoba is going to be allowing pharmacies to perform tests for travelers.
Good, yay!
Yeah, so we can just run into a pharmacy, get a test done, and good to go. So that'll be nice.
Just adds another like crazy thing to have to remember. Like,
yeah.
Do I have batteries? Do I have COVID?
yeah,
it's paper. All of those things are very important. Yes.
Yeah, it's been a hectic couple of years trying to be a storm chaser. That's for sure.
Right? Oh man, no kidding.
It's been the perfect time to start.
I
got to stay completely in Canada.
That's true.
Now you didn't have to make the decision when it's like a border riding storm, which are awful. Where if you're going to hop into Nodak, or you're going to stay on the Canadian side, or you're going to like do a little zigzag back and forth, or what?
I just get to sit on the Canadian side and cry.
That's like
we always get those ones that are starting to make their way up to Canada, and then as soon as they hit the border, they just boom.
Yep. Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be here soon. It'll be here soon. Oh no, it won't.
It's dead, or I'm gonna stay down there.
Well, with that brings us to the end of episode 1. Before we sign off, where can people find you on social media?
Nowhere right now because there's no storms. But my name, Misheyla Iwasiuk, that's for Twitter and Instagram. And and congratulations to you guys for starting this awesome podcast. This is super exciting. And
thank you.
I'm looking forward to watching your next couple of episodes to see like how much better everyone was than me on this.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and being our guinea pig.
Thank you for having me. Well,
we appreciate it.
Cheers to a better next season. Okay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Alrighty.
If you want to just hang out for a couple minutes here, we'll run through the end of the show, and
you betcha.
then we can end the broadcast. And so for us, and Jordan's got to run the banners because I don't know where they are.
Oh, yep. There we go.
You can find us on our socials. Our Twitter handle is @thepdspodcast. You can follow @Manitoba Storm Chasers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you're better off just go to 706photos.com, and all my links are there because not one of them is the same. I did not plan that very well when I made them all.
I think on Twitter you're 706 photos, aren't you?
I might be. I don't know. And if you are listening to this as a podcast, would you please subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app and leave us a review if your player lets you. This will help us get found by the search engines.
And make sure you become a supporter on Facebook to watch the next show live. The live and uncut is available only to Facebook supporters. So if you want to catch the next one live while we record, maybe see some stuff that doesn't make it into the actual podcast, you can you can check us out there. MB or Facebook.com/MB Storm Chasers, and just click the subscribe now button at the top of the page. And make sure you tune in for our next show. We'll be recording our next live show on November 2nd with Travis Farncombe, who is the CEO of Highways and Hailstones, which is a storm chasing app that you've probably seen both Kurtis and I use. You can track us live and everything on there. He's the one that started that app. as well as the writer and co-producer of the brand new 13 Minutes movie, which hits theaters on October 29th in the United States and November 5th in Canada. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next show.